Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 24 of the Anime Banter podcast with your host, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are y'all doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourselves?
Having a good day myself.
I'm doing pretty good. Football's back, so I have plenty to watch now.
There you go.
Also a big football fan.
8 hours of commercial-free football.
The listeners really need to realize we're from Pittsburgh, and even a lot of the biggest nerds from Pittsburgh, a lot of times the anime and sports overlap isn't necessarily there. In Pittsburgh, it's absolutely there, because everyone in Pittsburgh, at least to a small, tiny extent, is a sports fan.
If you're from Pittsburgh, you're ready for them Pittsburgh Steelers and that.
You guys gonna watch the Steelers win. They're gonna get that stairway to 7.
I went and got some Permani sandwiches, some Isley's chipped ham from John Niggle. Maybe I'll start a fire.
Wash it down with an Orange City Light.
Oh, I love that Iron City. Maybe an Iron City Turner's iced tea.
Gone downtown.
Up there on that Mount Washington.
Good thing I readied up for you guys to come over for the game.
If that doesn't say we're from Pittsburgh, I don't know what does.
Yeah, do we flash our Pittsburgh card enough?
95% of the people listening to this are like, what the fuck are all these words they're saying?
I don't understand. Is this English?
This is a foreign language.
It kind of is.
You gotta love dialects.
It's all fun.
I try not to think I have too big of a Pittsburgh accent, but then sometimes it just comes out and it's like, oops, there it is. Or my wife will just look at me like, what? Like, yes, the Yinzer came out.
Sorry about that. Everybody from Pittsburgh has that little bit of yinzer in there, and sometimes it comes out of its own volition. We have no control. So besides all the football, has anybody else been watching anything really cool and of note that anybody wants to mention?
8 hours of commercial-free football every Sunday on Red Zone.
You said that already.
I got let's see, I started watching Suits. It's on both Netflix and Peacock. It's a show about lawyers. I don't know. It's alright so far. I'm like 8 episodes in.
Actually just finished the Cody Rhodes documentary on Peacock, which was really good.
Oh yeah, speaking of Peacock, we did just have a wrestling event in Pittsburgh.
They did, and I went, and it was freaking amazing. I had the time of my life.
I only caught a couple matches. LA Knight versus The Miz. I caught that one, and
Yeah.
Trish versus Becky.
Yeah.
And those are actually two pretty solid matches. Good times.
The street fight match was fantastic.
I need to go back and watch it.
It was probably the match of the night, and the crowd was eating it up. Where KO did the senton off the barricade was like right in front of me, so that was really cool.
Oh, it's awesome. How about you, Turtle? You watch anything?
As of right now, I am 6 episodes into the live action One Piece show that dropped on Netflix, and there's been a lot of a buzz online about it. You know, when they first announced it, I was shocked. Like, I can't believe you would pick that property. How difficult that would be to turn into live action. Your main character is a stretchy rubber boy. Like, how are you going to make that work and have it look good? But I have to say, I'm 6 episodes in. I'm very excited to watch the last 2 episodes, and I honestly hope there's a season two. I genuinely think it's a good adaptation of the manga. Um, Obviously, it's not a one for one because you're taking a cartoon and making it a live action. You can't be one for one, but I think the actors have all been excellent. I think it's has been really well shot and told. I think the CG is pretty good. And from what I understand, I think they spent more money on these 8 episodes than one season of Game of Thrones. So there's definitely some money to back it up and to make it look as good as possible. So for those One Piece fans who have not checked it out, I recommend it. Give it a shot. I'm liking it so far. For those who have never watched or read One Piece and not sure if you would like the property, you're afraid to get into the manga because it's so long, or the anime because it is equally long. In fact, it's longer. Uh, give this a shot. It's only 8 episodes, and you can see if you kind of dip your toe in the water and see if you like it. But I recommend it. I think it's really good so far, and I hope we get more.
How would you rank it compared to all the other failed Netflix adaptations of anime and manga?
It is easily the best. The other Netflix movies and adaptations, they don't compare. This has generally been good. Ichiro Oda himself was involved in this. He made them do reshoots. He was involved in picking the actors for the characters. So I mean, he was, as if, from what I understand, he actually upfronted money as well to make this happen. I think I read somewhere that it took the studio. I have to look them up. I'm drawing a blank right now on the spot here. But the studio who did the live action One Piece is the same studio that did the Cowboy Bebop live action, which a lot of people didn't like that. I can come back to that in a second, but it's the same studio, but they got in touch with Oda Sensei, and it took about 2 years to get him on board to have him involved in this. So they spent a lot of time working on this, and honestly, it shows. There's a lot of like Easter eggs and stuff in the background to set up things in the future, or just to drop characters, just because they're part of the world. Maybe they won't show up in this show, but at least here's a little pirate bounty poster to show that they exist. So a lot of work was done. The sets are absolutely beautiful, really nice sets. The ships look great, towns look cool, character like outfits that they have are really good. The marine outfits look great. The Luffy from a couple episodes, he'll be changing his outfit like he does in like the anime. So he'll change his shirts a little bit, his pants, just to mix things up. So everything I think is just really done really well. There's a great attention to detail, and I feel like that the creators are fans. A lot of the actors are fans. A lot of the actors have become fans. So it's a lot of I think like positive energy into making this show, and it really shows. It reflects really well. So I give it 6 episodes in, comparing to the other shows, it's a 10 out of 10.
Now let's get controversial though. Neither Mike or I have seen the One Piece. However, I've seen the Full Metal Alchemist live action, and I have seen the Cowboy Bebop live action. I did not watch the Death Note one.
I did not
I
watch the Death Note one either.
I
The
always
FMA one
forget
was
that Willem Dafoe was in the Death Note one.
Was he?
he's Ryuk.
Oh, well, I heard that was bad, but maybe I should give it a shot just to watch it once.
Just to see how bad it is.
Sometimes you have to do that. If you know going in that it's going to be bad, you have your expectations set.
But by the way, Death Note itself is a very good anime for the most part.
I
Uh,
agree.
but the Cowboy Bebop one is not as bad as a lot of people say it is. However, I do not have the same nostalgia goggles that most people have for Cowboy Bebop. My first exposure to it was when I was in college. I watched about 8 episodes and I said, this is kind of boring, and then stopped watching it. And I know that I've just committed anime blasphemy, and I'm sure that I'll be crucified if any people listening to this see me in public. But to this day, I finished Cowboy Bebop? I don't know. If I did, I was probably looking at my phone for half the episodes. So
If you have to ask, it's probably no.
it's probably no. However, I will say that it's considered one of the classics. Like if you were like, "Hey, what anime should I start with?" A lot of people go straight to like just watch Cowboy Bebop because it has like a lot of mainstream appeal and it's really good anime. It's not like doesn't have the weird tropes. You know what I mean? It's just solid science fiction
It also has an absolute bitching opening theme song.
for
Yes,
sure.
it does. Tank. Great song. Yeah, I mean, this may be controversial to some people. I liked the live action until the last episode. I think they ruined it there. Because I mean, a lot of people they have this the rose tinted glasses. like, "Hey, I grew up watching the show, and I remember it was absolutely amazing." And I happen to really like Cowboy Bebop. It's been a while since I watched it, but it was on Adult Swim constantly. And from what I understand, it was not that big in Japan, and they brought it over here because one of the guys who ran Toonami loved it, and that's why it just constantly aired. They always had it on, and it garnered traction over here. It started to grab, and now it's become this cult classic. And I think the live action adaptation was pretty good for the most part until that last episode. Then they tried to like set up a season 2 when they should have just ended it, and they did some weird choices on how to continue the story they had going. But up until then I thought it was fine.
Yeah, up until like the last half hour of the last episode, you're like, hey, this is pretty solid.
Yeah, shit hit the fan right there. That last 30 minutes, it was like, "Oh, ooh, oh, why are you doing this?" That was my reaction. The whole thing, I was like, "This is actually pretty good. I think they're doing a decent job with this." And then that last 30 minutes, it was like they punched me in the gut. I was like, "What happened? What are you doing? And why?"
Yeah, just like a head scratcher. It's like why did they choose to do that?
because they like money.
They
I
want to do
mean,
it for season two, but their weird Ed. Like if you watch that post credit scene, like
oh,
imagine being a Netflix executive, and you're like, okay, what are the numbers like? And they're like, not as good as we thought they were. And then you watch the episodes, and you're like, all right, well, this series isn't that bad. And then you watch the last episode. If you didn't watch the original Cowboy Bebop, you're like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. That's fine. But then you watch that end credit scene, and you're like, yeah, this is canceled.
well, you guys canceled yourselves. How do you feel?
Speaking canceled, canceled myself. Like I said, I am definitely ready to get punched in the face on the street by someone for saying Cowboy Bebop was just not that great for me.
Next year's Tekko, someone's gonna come up to you like, "You're wrong,"
Start wailing on me.
and then get charged with assault.
I hope that's not the case. Please be nice, everybody. The internet is full of hatred. We don't need any more. We're looking for positivity. You don't have to like everything you encounter. It's okay to not like a show.
But if you want to banter with us on social media or in the YouTube comments or in the DMs, feel free to message us.
Please do. We like to chat.
We like to banter.
Aha!
Hey!
I see what you did there.
Shall we jump into the Vinland Saga?
Yeah,
I was gonna say let's get into it here.
Today, we are talking about episodes 17 and 18 of Vinland Saga Season 1. Episode 17, Servant. The episode begins with Askeladd, Thorfinn, Bjorn, Prince Canute, and the drunk priest surrounded by Askeladd's men. And they're like, "Oh, just give up, Askeladd. It's over. And just give us the prince and it'll all be fine. And we're big, strong men and you're outnumbered." And Askeladd's like, "Well, if you're all going to be this stupid, you might as well go hand yourselves over to Thorkel so he could beat your ass on his own." Like, "No, that's not going to happen." We learn in the future they chose poorly.
Indeed. And after we as the viewer have seen Thorkel and how he handles this kind of a situation, so we know what's coming. But Askeladd's men have no idea. They're like, "Oh, we'll just hand over the prince and like we'll be best buds and he'll let us go." And I'm just sitting there going, "No, you guys are done."
It was interesting to see Askeladd like sort of have an idea that that's what would happen.
As much as I dislike Askeladd because he's a dick, he's an intelligent dick. So like he knew that that was going to go down. And not to kind of jump ahead a little bit, but that moment where he's looking at the guy who kind of takes over, what's his name?
Torgrim?
Torgrim. Yeah, he looks at Torgrim. He's like, "I feel bad for you." It made me laugh.
he knew exactly what was going to happen. By the way, if they just kept walking at the normal pace instead of arguing, there's a possibility maybe they could have gotten to where they needed to go because they could have kept the distance. But nope, they had to sit around and mutiny and then die anyway.
Yeah, they all seem to forget that Thorkel was chasing them. Besides Askeladd.
I think they think if they give up the prince, Thorkel's just gonna forgive him.
but we know better.
Oh, yeah, we do.
They don't realize Thorkel loves fighting.
He's like Goku.
I mean, it's 100% true. Especially in Super, Goku's like, I just want to fight.
I want to fight strong opponents. Well, what's the scene where Thorkel like enters and then he's at the top of the hill and he's looking, he's like, I think they're having an argument. I can't believe they're fighting without me. Wait for me.
We see a flashback of a young Askeladd with his mother. And his mother's very sick and she's in the barn. And his mother tells him of Avalon. And she tells him, hey, King Artorias is going to return. And when he does, you must become his sword and shield. And there were a couple things that I thought were very interesting in this flashback. One was the art style of Avalon whenever Askeladd's mother was telling him about it. It felt very reminiscent of the art we have seen when people talk about Vinland. And then the second point that I found very interesting was, does Askeladd believe Prince Canute is King Artorias?
I don't know.
I don't
That's
think so.
it's a good question. I think
I,
he just wants to use Prince Canute to keep the Danes out of Wales. I think that's all Prince Canute is to Askeladd.
that's how I see it too. And his potential meal ticket in case Prince Canute needs a hand of the king. So it's like twofold, right? He gets to save Wales and he gets a nice cushy job at the capital.
Absolutely. He's looking to retire soon.
He has kind of alluded to that.
Yeah, that's true. We're then back in present day Vinland Saga, and Askeladd is surrounded by his men. And I thought this was also very interesting. He comes out and says, ugh, I hated you all. I have such a disdain for all you wretched Danes. Like, this is, like, for years, he has been their leader, and, oh, he's so great. He always treats them so well, and, like, they're all happy that they're getting money, and yada, yada, yada. Like, they always, like, treat Askeladd so well, and, like, he always seems to treat his men really well. And then to hear him just like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I am tired of your shit. You wretched Danes. Fuck off. And then it was just hilarious to see him and Thorfinn make quick work of the nameless jabronis and his crew.
Can we talk about that first strike by Askeladd? He like unsheaths his sword, and I think he like cuts off the head of 5 of his dudes in one swing. And they do it in that slow motion shot, and I was just like, "Wow, okay, that was pretty cool."
I really liked that shot. That was fantastic.
The action in this is a little odd because they try to make the show kind of realistic, and then just turn around and just have like dudes get chopped up in ways that people shouldn't get chopped up.
You mean like later on, whenever Askeladd cuts a man in half through a helmet?
You're like, okay, anyone? Here's a deep cut. Anyone here see UHF
I have
with
not
Weird
watched
Al?
that all the way through yet. I've been told to though.
Yeah, there's a scene called Conan the Librarian, and like some guy asks on something, and Conan says, "Don't you know your Dewey Decimal?" Oh, no, sorry, that's a different thing. And then someone returns a book that's overdue, and Conan just like lifts his sword up and chops them. And the way that he chops them looks exactly like that, where they just get like chopped down the middle, and like the two sides kind of flop. And you're like, and you're just like, this is like corny. Like it's not. It's. I'm like, this is not good action. Like this is corny to me.
And I love how Askeladd writes it off of like, oh, sorry, I lost my temper.
It was pretty ridiculous. Uh, I kind of liked it. I'm not gonna lie. As much as I dislike Askeladd, this was a great episode for him, and I enjoyed watching it as he single-handedly takes down his entire troop.
Well, I love how Thorkel gets all pissed that Askeladd and his men start fighting without him.
Oh yeah, he just comes running down the hill. He's like, "Wait for me! I want to fight too.
It's like, oh, come on, guys, I want to fight.
How could you start without me?"
How are you guys starting the neighborhood game without me? I have all the equipment. How did you not tell me that the big fight was starting? I haven't got my sword and axes all cleaned up and my equipment all ready. And y'all started without me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he's just so excited. He's like a kid in a candy store once he actually gets in there.
So Bjorn and Thorfinn took off in the sled, and Torgrim's like, "Oh shit!" Askeladd realized this would happen, and as they're riding away, Bjorn tells Thorfinn, "Yo, kill the pursuers! Like, throw something at him." He's like, and Thorfinn's like, "I don't have anything to throw," and Bjorn's like, "Ah shit!" And originally, I got a good laugh out of this next scene, and then I felt immediately terrible about it. But when Bjorn tells the pursuers to come at him, and then they go after the horses, and he starts freaking out. Like, I started laughing, and then I felt immediately terrible after what happened to those poor horses.
Yeah, they try to
Eh.
make a comedy moment out of that. He's like, "Come and get me." No, wait, not the horse. I said me. But I do feel
This
bad for the horses.
this was a bad episode to be a horse,
Yeah, yeah, it really was. They
but
had to give Thorkel that moment. We'll get to it soon, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
definitely
but
some Thorkel abuse.
I also love how they're like, did they just not think through, like, oh, if we kill the horse and they crash, Prince Canute could die. Like, they were like shocked that they're like, oh, Prince Canute got knocked out in the wreck. It's like, yeah, no shit. How did you not think this one through?
These men, they're not real smart.
I mean, I guess Askeladd is the brains of the operation.
That's very true. They don't know what to do without him.
They're sort of cavemen. Uh, we have axe. We kill. We kill whatever. And Askeladd's like, no, you go that way and kill. So they start loading up a knocked out Prince Canute, and then they realize Bjorn is also still alive. And then Super Bjorn is back, baby.
He eats the mushroom and becomes the Bjorn Zerker. This was a great scene.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we haven't seen it in a long time.
And then we see a pissed off Thorfinn because he's pissed that Askeladd is possibly going to die before he can kill him. And he starts riding off into, like, towards the fight. He's like, damn it, old man, why are you going to die before I can kill you? That's my job.
I had mentioned this, I think, a while back, where eventually Askeladd's plans are going to fall apart. This is kind of it, right? You know, his men have turned on him. He's told Thorfinn to watch the prince, and all Thorfinn cares about is killing Askeladd. So he abandons his job to save Askeladd so he can kill him himself. Bjorn just goes into a rage. It's like everything's falling apart.
It's all going to shit. I really loved seeing Askeladd just putting the work in against his crew and killing them. But what I really loved was hearing his inner monologue, like, okay, like, just keep fighting, like, block here, attack here, like, look for an opening to run. Like, it was really cool hearing his thought process as the fight worked out.
Yeah, it's Askeladd keeping his cool under pressure
And then Askeladd's like, he gets all pissed off and he slices the dude in half, and it was fantastic.
through the helmet.
Oh,
It's ridiculous, and it happens, and the rest of the men are like, "Oh shit, he's as strong as ever. Why are we doing this again?"
Why do we ever doubt Askeladd? He's a pretty cool guy.
and then Askeladd gets shot by arrows, and they went low on him. They went for the legs, but it was all just so reminiscent about Thor's getting attacked. Like, it seemed like they're like, okay, yeah, maybe we should let Askeladd live, and maybe we should stop fighting. And they're like, no, attack, kuja, sneak attack.
I think the whole point of like this fight scene, and I mean I could be wrong, but this is kind of what I got out of it. The whole point of this fight scene for Askeladd is to not go all out. He's just trying to stay alive, knock them out one by one. And when he takes that axe to the back, he gets mad, and that's when he cuts the dude in half. And he did not want to do that because then that's when the archers come out like, wow, we do not stand a chance against this guy in close range. We have to switch to long range where he can't do anything. And that even like after Askeladd does it, he's like, damn it, I lost my temper. And I think that's what they were implying is, well, since we can't beat him close range, let's bring out the archers. And Askeladd knows he can't really do much against that.
And even he's like, of course they're going to use archers.
So like even he's foiling his own plans.
So then they're like ready to like get Askeladd to surrender. And Torgrim's like, all right, men, go in and get him. And the three men he's talking to just like fall to the ground dead because Thorkel stealth shoots them in the back and kills them. And then he challenges Askeladd to a fight. And I just loved Askeladd's line here saying, sorry, I don't see anyone without an appointment.
That's like a legendary line. That's so good.
That's like something out of every like 80s action movie.
Yeah, definitely had that vibe.
And I liked it.
We then see Torgrim's talking to Thorkel like, we're here to serve you, and we'll bring you the prince, and we'll do everything you need, and yada yada yada. And he's like talking and talking and talking, and Askeladd's paying him no attention, or not Askeladd. I'm sorry, Thorkel's paying Torgrim no attention. He's like Torgrim's like, what can we do to serve you? And we got the prince for you, and yada yada yada. It's like he's like a puppy, like ready to serve a new master. And Thorkel's like, I don't care about you. You're weak.
Quiet, Torgrim. The adults are having a conversation.
And then he goes back to talking to Askeladd.
The look on Thorkel's face when he stares at Torgrim was amazing. The whole animation of his face was fantastic. He's staring at him. Torgrim drops the axe. Thorkel's staring at the axe in the snow like, what even are you? Where's your weapon? Why are you talking to me? You're useless. It was incredible.
The man died of fright.
He straight up just shit his pants and died.
Yeah, I was ready for them to show like his pants turning like wet from him just peeing himself.
Yeah. He just like zonks out.
I was waiting. It's like, all right, when are we getting the peed pants visual? And nope, Thorkel just literally gave him a look that legit killed.
If looks could kill. Oh, they
They
can.
did. And I love how later in the next episode we even see Torgrim again, and he's still just like with that face of like
He's
not
drooling and
blinking.
everything.
Yeah, like he's on his knees, but otherwise he's just like there frozen. And as Askeladd called, Thorkel tells all his men to kill everyone but Askeladd.
We knew that would happen.
Oh, and they make it happen.
They were like shocked. They're like, what? No, you don't want to kill us. We're here to help you. I love how Thorkel's men are like, pick up your weapons and die with honor so you can go to Valhalla.
That was kind of cool actually, because like I'm like, hey, they're Vikings. They're just gonna like cut these dudes down. They actually like, hey, we're gonna give you a chance to defend yourself, so you can go to Valhalla. I'm like that's actually kind of respectable instead of just murdering them. Although that one dude did take a spear to the mouth.
That one, oh my gosh.
I wasn't ready for that. He was like, he had his axe, and I swear to God, the axe is upside down. Like the blade is facing into the air, and he's like, oh, right in the mouth.
He sure did deep throat that spear.
Oh, was it some especially brutal deaths this week?
Honestly, we should have had like a kill of the week for this for this anime, because there are some really good ones to pick when there's some insane violence, and this one would be up there.
We can definitely start a tally.
Yeah, I don't know what I pick for kill of the week. I probably got to pick Thorkel's Death by Fear. That's a good one.
It's
Yeah,
a
that
good
is a
one.
really good one. I don't know if we'll ever see something like that again.
I think that this episode was probably my favorite in a while. From like the past like 7 episodes, probably. This one's probably been the best one.
For sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So Thorfinn arrives, pissed off at the world, and he starts raising hell against Thorkel's men. And Thorkel is ecstatic to see Thorfinn. And then I feel bad laughing, but it was so ridiculous when Thorkel hits the big ass uppercut on that horse.
That was so great.
Like,
When that
terrible
horse was approaching, I was ready. I was like, he's going to do something to the horse, isn't he? And he did.
Oh, like, I feel bad laughing, but fuck.
Only Thorkel. He stares that horse down and he punches it right in the chest.
He's like, fuck you, horse.
I mean, he flipped the horse with a punch to the chest. With the horse is running at like full speed, he just stands there. Wham! It was ridiculous. I need more of this in this show.
Animal violence?
Not animal violence, just
Cradle, you sicko.
You son of a bitch.
oh, I punch horses on every weekend in the chest. Yeah, I know. Just
Thorkel feats of strength.
Acts of ridiculousness. Crazy feats that like are absurd. Like this is a cartoon. I need to see some silly shit. And a dude who's like 10 stories tall punching a horse in the chest. That's ridiculous. Just saying that out loud is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And then we see Thorfinn yelling at Thorkel. It's like, yo, stop. Askeladd is my kill. No one else can kill him but me. So step the fuck aside, because that is my kill. And Thorkel's like, what? What do you mean? I thought he was your leader.
Thorfinn's like, hell no. I'm trying to stab him.
Yeah, this is I don't know, this kind of stuff kind of annoys me in anime sometimes though, in storytelling, where it's just like, you can't kill him, I get to kill him. And I'm like, man, I would just be happy the guy was dead. I'd be like, well, hold up, guys, I don't want to stop you from killing him, but could you torture him a little bit?
It's like, you can get the big blows in if I can just get the killing blow. That's cool. I'm waiting for the moment where like Thorkel asks Thorfinn, like, why do you want this man dead so much?
I was kind of waiting for that to come up in this moment, but it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's why I actually have. We're not quite there yet, but I had a number of problems with the next episode.
All I know is the Thorfinn versus Thorkel fight is going to be an absolute banger.
Oh, yeah.
And that concludes episode 17. And now it is time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer comes to you from New Belgium, and it is their Voodoo Ranger Juice Force, a 9.5% Imperial Hazy IPA. I drank this at the Pitt vs. Watford football game in the 90-degree heat. Let me tell you, not the best time to drink a 9.5% beer, but it was so damn juicy that I didn't mind it. It had no bitterness, and it went down surprisingly smooth in the heat. This beer was made even better by Pitt putting down an absolute beating on Watford, winning 45-7. The Untapped rating is 3.92, and I give it a 4. Episode 18, Out of the Cradle. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our main event of the card tonight. Fighting out of the red corner, we have the Yams Viking champion, the tallest Viking known to man, the man who loves to fight, the man that throws boulders for fun, Thorkel! And fighting out of the blue corner, we have the challenger. He is the son of the troll. He is the protector of Prince Canute. And he is the one who will kill Askeladd. He is Thorfinn! Ladies and gentlemen, the last time these two met, Thorfinn might have got his ass beat, but he also got 2 souvenirs from Thorkel in his fingertips. The episode begins, and the fight is already underway. And we see Thorfinn dodging Thorkel's attacks, and the crowd is going wild. Like, Thorkel's men are very impressed with Thorfinn.
I mean, how many people can go toe to toe with Thorkel and survive more than a second?
Yeah, if we see actually seriously, have we seen like anyone survive more than one swing, except for Thorfinn so far?
I don't think so.
I don't either. Granted, usually it's Thorkel versus random jobber of the week.
Yeah, Jobber 1, Jobber 2.
Cuts him in half with a single swing.
They put him on a 3-on-1 handicap match, and it ends in 5 seconds.
Sounds about right.
Thorkel is a little taken aback that Thor's never told Thorfinn about Thor's history and like Thorkel. And like Thorkel starts rattling off some facts, and Thorfinn seems a little sketchy. Like, no, that's not true. And he's like, yeah, it is. Like, your mother is this side, like, comes from this, and your father was such a great warrior that this is what happened. Like, and Thorkel even tells Thorfinn, like, look, I'll tell you more about your dad if we continue to fight. And one of Thorkel's men starts laughing at Thorfinn, and his punishment is death.
he hits him with the blunt side of the axe.
Another fantastic death this week. Gosh, we had so many good deaths this week.
Like, I think you could tell that Thorkel deep down cares about Thorfinn in some way because of Thor's. And he's like, stop laughing at this kid. He's putting up a better fight than any of you.
I don't know if I would give Thorkel that much credit, to be honest. I mean, he's Goku. He just wants to fight.
That's true.
I don't know if he so much cares about Thorfinn. He cares about the fact that Thorfinn is strong enough or could be strong enough to give him a good fight. That's all he really wants.
That's a good point. Grant, I feel like Goku would be living his best life if Gohan was like the strongest fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, you see, the Japanese fans didn't like when Gohan became stronger than Goku, and they rebelled and made Akira Toriyama change it back. So yeah, pander to the fans.
If that's what happened, I recently watched, not to plug anybody who's not related to what's going on with the channel, but as far as like DBZ goes, I'm a big fan of the YouTube channel Totally Not Mark, and recently he's been doing huge deep dives into Dragon Ball Z. He's done Dragon Ball. He's even done some GT. So check him out if that's something you're into. But yeah, here's a free plug for you. Totally Not Mark.
We then see Askeladd pulling the arrows out of himself, and that just seems like a terrible idea.
It kind of does. I mean, aren't you gonna bleed out easier that way?
Usually,
And like, I know they're in the legs, but like, there's still important shit down there.
wonder if Askeladd thinks he's just not really gonna make it much further.
Maybe he knows like the end of days is coming for him.
The end of the Askeladd Empire.
We then see Prince Canute, and he's upset about all the fighting, and he begins to act like he's still sleeping or knocked out. And we see a ghost Ragnar appear in front of Prince Canute, looking much older than he did when he was alive.
He's a Force Ghost. Force Ghost Ragnar.
And Ghost Ragnar tells Prince Canute that he failed him, and that instead of raising him to be the next king, he raised him as his own child. And Prince Canute starts crying. He's like, no, I really wish I was your son instead of being of royal blood.
I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you.
He needed a Qui-Gon to be his mentor instead.
I'm just gonna make Star Wars references for the rest of this episode.
Prince Canute eventually awakens to see in Super Bjorn beating some serious ass, treating those jabronis like a bunch of Goombas.
I absolutely love this, where you have this like serious, deep internal reflection with Prince Canute, and then they cut away to Bjorn just beating the shit out of everything around him.
With his
Then they
bare
cut
hands.
with his bare hands, and then they cut back to Canute with the deep reflection, and then back to Bjorn like picking up some dude and throwing him.
It just felt so weird.
It did, but I kind of liked it again.
It all plays together in this episode very well.
It's these moments of comedy. Like they show Bjorn like picking this dude up, and the dude's squirming in the air while Canute's like talking and reflecting. Bjorn throws him off screen and then just runs off screen himself. It was so good.
Prince Canute then asked the drunk priest, like, "Hey, you could do something. Why aren't you stopping the like? Why won't you stop the fighting?" And the drunk priest is like, I'm not going to stop people who want to die from dying." Which it's like, all right, priest, like that's how it's gonna be, sure.
I mean, if he would have said like, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" That'd be one thing. He's like, "Ah, they want to die. Just let them die."
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, the priest is kind of lousy at making people feel better too.
Yeah, he is.
He's not a very good priest.
I just think his definition of love is a little off from I don't know,
Yeah,
as a person who was raised in in the Catholic Church, and I went through like the children's the education program for it, and nothing this priest says matches up with anything I learned. That's for
yeah.
sure.
Not to jump too far ahead, but during that
I'm sorry. Yeah, I
whole
know. I'm too
monologue,
far
I was
ahead.
like, I just sort of like start raising my eyebrows. I'm like, what? Like, that is not like, because I was also like raised Catholic. I'm like, this is not what we were taught at all. Like, it just was very like like eyebrow raising. Like, I don't quite think that's what you're trying to get at.
I'm glad it wasn't just me because I thought all of the like his point of view about love, I thought it was all nonsense, and I can't believe that anybody would buy into that.
You see, he's showing the most love than he has at any point in his life. While he cares about other human beings, that is not love. But being dead and letting bugs eat your body, that is love. And I'm like, I don't know.
And
And
Prince
I don't know
Canute,
about that.
I love how
then he's
Prince
like,
Canute, like, oh, I get it. This snow is love. I'm like, what the fuck is anybody talking about here?
how? I'm glad it wasn't me. I'm like, I do not think I'm drunk enough or high enough for this monologue.
What one
The
too many mini kegs for the
Yeah,
priest?
the
Yeah,
priest was drunk enough. What was he talking about?
like he's like, the love a parent shows their child, and a husband and wife show each other. That's discrimination. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about?
Dude, when he said that, I was like, what?
I'm like, I don't think that's the word you mean.
Oh my god. None of this made any sense to me. That's the best part about this was Bjorn Zerker just running around in the background, smashing people in the face. They cut away back to this bullshit, and then they cut back to Bjorn Zerker throwing dudes, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see this wrong interpretation of love.
That whole scene was so weird with the priest.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't.
glad we're all on the same page.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was actually anxious to talk about this to see what you guys thought about it because the whole time I'm watching this, I was just waiting for more Bjorn stuff. Like this was all well, I don't know what this is.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. Is Bjorn? I'm skipping. I'm sorry, guys. I'm jumping around too much.
It's all
I'll
right.
wait on this point. I'll wait on this point. I'll wait on this point.
I
Hold
mean,
that
we can
thought.
talk about it now.
Well, let's
Keep
talk
the
about all the Canute and Bjorn stuff first, and then
Okay.
we'll jump back over to Thorfinn and Askeladd.
that
Um,
works.
yeah. Canute is undergoing a transformation. He seems to have given up on the Jesus stuff. I think that seems to be what he said, right?
Yeah,
And
I thought that was really interesting.
and at the end he calls. Well, it's weird because he's like, well, I think he heard the priest's interpretation of love and scratched his head the same way we did, and he's like, "What are you talking about?"
But then he was also like, yes, this all makes sense.
I
Good point.
understand, and I'm like, understand what?
Yeah. Well, I guess he turns his back on God, and then he's like, "I am going to be the king," and I'm like, "Where'd all this come from?" Like this came out of nowhere. Like Canute was like a sniveling, crying brat 5 seconds ago, and all of a sudden he's like, "I'll be the king. You're my followers now." And I'm like, Hold up, I think we skipped a step or two.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, oh, all of you will work for me, and you'll be my holy warriors, and I will give you a reason to fight. And I was like, well, I mean, I like that he's found whatever purpose he has found, but I don't know what it is. They didn't really explain it.
I'm really glad he finally found his confidence and like stopped being a sniveling mute.
Yeah.
Like he's, but like you would think, okay, this would have would have happened after Ragnar died. Like, oh, okay, like the English killed my mentor. I need to become a king to like make sure that something like this would never happen. No, he was like I guess eventually he did like get visited by Force Ghost Ragnar, and that probably helped him at least accept Ragnar's death. But like what finally got him to like step up wasn't Thorfinn calling him out, wasn't Askeladd. It was the priest talking random gibberish. And like it was also like seeing Bjorn and Thorkel's right hand man fighting each other. And he's like, all this needless violence needs to stop.
Which, like, I mean, to that point, I agree, but how he got there is what's weird and confusing. Because, like, Prince Canute did, he became a totally different person. He did like a 180 where he's like, he's not the same character we met. And sure, people can change over time, not in a span of 30 seconds. So that, I guess that's my problem is like Canute was visited by Force Ghost Ragnar and he became somebody different.
I mean, Force Goes Ragnar said like, "Hey, you only realize who you are and what you can become after a great loss." He's like, "You now know like who that person should be, and you have experienced a great loss." So it was sort of there, but like it didn't happen immediately after you awoke from the dream of Force Ghost Ragnar. It was after the priest. It's just a weird like playing of the scenes. Like it almost felt like the talk with the priest should have happened before the talk with Ghost Ragnar.
Yeah, I think that would make a little more sense to me as well if you know Force Ghost Ragnar was his reason for change, but the fact that he you know does a personality 180 shift after talking with the priest and his nonsense, that made him become a different person. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen like during some of the travels him sitting and contemplating these things. Like you said, visited by Ragnar earlier, maybe the night after his death. The talk with the priest, maybe it does happen here, or it happens like one episode earlier. And that way, you're like, oh, Canute has been building this slower progression towards changing as a person and is doing a lot of thinking. But all the thinking took place in 5 minutes. So I just don't buy it.
We could have had that happen instead of the Anne episode.
Oh yeah, that would have been better.
Yeah. Oh, and also, I will never forgive them for using time that they're okay. And I know we're getting ready to transition back over to the Thorfinn Thorkel fight. I cannot forgive them for having so much time on Prince Canute when we could have gotten way more answers about like Thorkel and Thor's relationship. Um, you know, maybe Thorkel understands why he wants to kill why Thorfinn wants to kill Askeladd so badly. We don't get any of that crap. We get almost nothing. And they give me all this time on Prince Canute. I'm like, next episode, I need lore dump now. I'm impatient. Give me the lore dump.
I was kind of waiting for that too, so I'm with you on this one. I definitely want to see that like right away in the next episode.
I also love how Prince Canute used like some random superpowers to calm down Super Bjorn, but like putting his hands on his face and giving him a hug, it calmed Bjorn down. It's like, wait, hold on. This dude was just in a rage, and he just stops because Prince Canute is yelling out, angry at God, and then gives Bjorn a hug.
He went for the hand on the face, and I was kind of waiting for that saxophone music to kick in, and he starts moving in for that kiss.
I was
I
waiting
thought
for
it was,
Bjorn to rip his hand off.
I was ready for him to just get punched right in the face. It'd
That
been
It's
also
so
just
would have been
funny.
acceptable.
it's just a freeze frame. It's like, yep, this is me. Probably wondering how I got here.
But yeah, magic. The power of friendship will always win in anime, no matter what. The power of love, the power of friendship, it always wins in anime. Nothing will ever beat that.
And now we know that love is snow.
And dead bodies.
And corpses, yeah.
And the sky.
I don't understand the show anymore.
Anything but an alive person, really.
Pretty much. If you're dead, you're love. If you're alive, fuck you. Should we get back to Thorkel and the Thorfinn fight?
For what's left of it, yes.
We see Thorkel's men slaying the rest of Askeladd's men. And they're like, oh, I can't believe that duel's still going on. And they're like, we should go watch. Like, they're very excited the fact that the duel is still going on. And we see Thorfinn actually got some good hits on Thorkel. Like, Thorkel is bleeding. And Thorkel's men can't believe that Thorfinn is actually winning.
Hard to believe.
And they're going at it. And Thorkel says Thorfinn is lacking something from making him a true warrior. And I think we all know what it is. It's Thorkel becoming the mentor.
Dude, that needs to happen.
Oh, I was gonna say about 2 feet in height was missing. But you know,
I,
I mean, yeah, I guess it could be the mentor thing.
I mean, Thorkel also says he's lacking something from making him a true warrior. It's probably those 2 fingertips.
That may be the case. That may be the case.
It's probably love, though.
Well, there wasn't enough snow.
Thorkel then asks Thorfinn, what is a true warrior? And Thorfinn just freezes. And he sees Thor's, and he remembers what Thor said. And he gets all pissed off. He's like, that was a dirty trick. But that's the last of this fight we see in this episode. Or I'm sorry, no, we don't. There was one other part that we saw in this episode that was fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I almost forgot about this. Thorkel takes his axe and swipes a giant pile of snow, or we should call it love now, in Thorfinn's face. And when Thorfinn can see again, he fucking punts Thorkel, he punts Thorfinn so far outside the duel circle. They're like, oh, look how far he flew. And they're like, oh, he used his legs to dampen the blow. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? He's 50 yards down the fucking forest.
Well, this was really cool actually. He took the kick, but he jumped onto Thorkel's leg and propelled himself so he didn't take so much damage as just being flung. The damage came from when he, crashed into the trees and back to the ground.
Thorfinn is down on the 1 yard line. It is Thorfinn's ball. But that punt was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it was.
And I fucking lost it.
I'm interested to see where the episode picks up, because it wouldn't surprise me if Canute and Thorfinn kind of ended up going their separate ways now.
I'm wondering if Thorfinn's even going to be conscious for the next episode.
He might be out of it for 2 or 3 episodes.
Right? He's going to wake up and he's not going to know what's going on, and neither are we.
What did you two think? Sean, you're a Destiny player. You should know that you need to go read some Grimoire cards for your lore.
Oh God.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's one of my favorites is in the first episode of Cromartie High School. The guy talks about something in his backstory. In the show, they're like, if you want to find more on that, read the manga. So like the show just tells you like, yeah, just go read the manga if you want to know. We're not going to explain it here. And
Nice.
I'm like that's how it's going to have to be. I will avoid the manga.
What did you two think of these 2 episodes?
First episode, really good. The best, one of the best episodes I think we've actually seen in the series so far. I loved everything about it. The gratuitous violence, The stakes were high. The characters all did very interesting things. It feels like the plot has started to move for the first time in like 6 episodes, and I'm here for it. The next episode, though, as I ranted about earlier, give me the lore dump. Give it to me. I need to know more about Thor's. I need Thorkel to learn about Thorfinn's motives. I need Thorfinn to I need something to happen between him and Askeladd. Anything. If I'm still watching this 30 episodes from now and Askeladd's still alive, then I don't even know what to think about this show.
The show's gonna end with an 80-year-old Askeladd doing a 60-year-old Thorfinn,
Did you
and
imagine the senior citizen
Thorfinn
match?
finally gets his revenge. It's the slowest moving duel in all time.
Well, I'm hoping by then Thorfinn is like 2 feet taller. I want to see this dude become like as big as his dad was. I want him to be like this shrimp the whole time with the little knives. No, I want this man to fight as a big man.
Turtle, what did you think of these episodes?
I definitely think episode 17. That's what this is, right? 17 and 18.
Yeah,
Is that where we're at? All right. I lose count. Episode 17 is probably my favorite episode so far. Just, there's things happening. There are fights, there's a chase sequence. There's some weird reflection bullshit in the next one that I wasn't a fan of, but 17 I think is the best episode we've seen so far. 18, the weird reflection with, religion and snow and love didn't make sense to me, but the whole Bjorn stuff in the background kept me entertained at least, so I got through it. I like them. Uh 17's definitely better for sure. And yeah, I definitely also am with Sean. I want some lore dump. I want to see these characters, having more connections with each other, with Thor's, and I want to see some resolution with things. And I want freaking Thorfinn to pal up to Thorkel and learn to kick some ass.
I thought both of these episodes were absolute bangers. And yet, like, yes, it'd be great to have the lore dump, but I was just so enthralled by the duel and the violence in these two episodes that the story was second fiddle to me. It's like, yeah, that's great and all, but let's get back to the fight. Like, I just want to see more of Thorfinn and Thorkel going at it.
And you bring up a really good point there, Mike. Uh, we watch these episodes 2 at a time. I bet if I would have watched the next episode, like right after this, I would have felt very differently about this episode. I would have been like, oh yeah, like we're just taking a side, we're just doing a little side thing on Canute, and then we're right back into it. You know, Thorkel Thorfinn reunited after Thorfinn wakes up, probably. Um, so maybe it's just my impatience that is causing my, kind of a down rating on the episode because, like you said, if I was binging this stuff, I probably wouldn't mind at all.
What are the odds that episode 19 starts with the Thor's stream?
Ooh, if he's knocked out, he's got to be dreaming, right?
I would be okay with that.
That's a good guess.
I'd be okay with that.
And now it is time for the waifu of the week. Turtle, who's your waifu of the week and why?
This week I am going with Force Ghost Ragnar. No, it's Thorkel, obviously. I don't know what else to say. Like, I mean, watch the show. Thorkel is absolutely insane. He's ridiculous. And I can't get enough of him. And I want him to be Thorfinn's, mentor. I want Thorfinn to learn how to fight from the great Thorkel the Tall, who is ridiculously tall. Did we talk about that before? Everybody else comes up to his waist.
I think his height may be mentioned once or twice.
Sean, who is your waifu of the week and why?
The last 2 weeks, I think I've picked Ragnar, and we did get Ghost Ragnar in this episode, and I could pick him, but I'm going with Bjorn. It was really cool seeing the Berserker mushrooms come back out, and Bjorn just whooped some butt. Last time he got absolutely crushed. Like he had a sword and was trying to take down Thor's, and Thor's just wailed on him barehanded. Well, he took a page out of Thor's book, and he was just beating people barehanded, and it was super cool. I mean, he's pretty hurt now, but yeah, he kicked some major butt. So give one shout out to Bjorn right here. How about you, Mike?
I was really torn on this week. I kept bouncing back and forth between Askeladd and Prince Canute because each of them were great in their own way. Like Askeladd was great in episode 17, and Prince Canute was great in episode 18. But I think I'm gonna give the edge to Prince Canute this week, just because we finally get some character development with him. Like, we've had him around for how many episodes now, and it's always the quiet, sniveling kid that wouldn't say a peep to anyone besides Ragnar. And like, yeah, we got some character development last week, learning that he loved to cook and everything, but like, we finally see him step up to the plate and say, alright, this is what I need to do. You all need to stop with the pointless violence. Let me be the person to guide you. Let me tell you when to fight, who to fight. Let me give your life and death meaning. Let me be your king. And like, it was just fantastic to finally see him take that transformation. Thank you all for joining us this week as we watch Vinland Saga. We hope you join us next week for episode 25 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 19 and 20 of Vinland Saga. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Turtle, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Once you finish listening to this, hop on over to my YouTube channel, RPG Treasure Trove. You'll have a good time, I promise.
Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
As always, the Demon Files podcast. I am telling you, we seasons for episode 2 are off with our editor, and we're very excited. So please get caught up on season 1.
Also, just a note, if you are listening to the podcast, please hop over to our YouTube page, where you can find box openings of Disney Lorcana, One Piece, Pokemon, and Weiss Schwartz, as well as Sean's video of the Gundam in Japan. The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.